Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Front Runner podcast. My name's Arlen Kaesler and we've got a massive show lined up for you ahead of this weekend's listed Murray Bridge Cup. Now my co-host Lincoln Moore, he's still sunning himself in Bali, but don't worry, we've got a great panel of guests lined up, including the Mayor of Murray Bridge, James Tzaferis, who's going to give you all the news ahead of a big weekend over there in Murray Bridge this week. Last year's winning trainer, Michael Hickmott's here to chat about his two chances in the Cup, and Mitch Lewis will join us a bit later for all the best bets. Big show, so let's get stuck in. It is Murray Bridge Cup week, and of course we've got to get on the Mayor of Murray Bridge himself, James Tzaferis. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, mate. This is the one week where I'm not the Mayor of Murray Bridge because we've got the Mayor coming to the races on Saturday. I've got to do a presentation with him for one of the races. So His Excellency, I think we call him. I'm looking forward to having him trackside.
Is it a bit annoying you don't get called Your Excellency this week then? Is that going to be okay?
I'm just a battler from Murray Bridge, mate. No excellency for me.
Sure. Speaking of that, it's going to be a massive, 48, 72 hours for the club. Golf day tomorrow, Calcutta as well, and then on to the Cup on Saturday.
Yeah, huge. So we've got about 50 players having a hit of golf, all in the name of the National Jockeys Trust on Thursday. Plenty of jockeys and local trainers, few Morpheville trainers coming up as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully there's no cameras because I am putrid at golf. So looking forward to that. Calcutta tomorrow night. Trying to elevate the event this year. Damien Oliver, champion jockey, guest speaker. And it's probably the one glaring omission from his CV. He never won a Murray Bridge Gold Cup. So he can get up close and personal to it on Thursday night. And then, huge day Saturday. Obviously, we've had the fields drop. Couple of sort of small fields for some of the features, but maybe what we lack in numbers, we've got some quality there. So looking forward to the action on the track and off the track. Bookings are probably as strong, or pre-bookings are probably as strong as what they've ever been. So we're on track for, a crowd of somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000, which is great.
Yeah, great to hear. And the most important thing, the weather's looking absolutely cracking. I think 23 and cloudy, which is basically perfect weather to head to the races.
Yeah, beautiful one day, perfect the next year in Murray Bridge. It rarely rains and we get a lot of sunshine. So we need the rain, but hopefully it stays away on Saturday.
Now let's kick off. Started talking about a couple of the fields. You said a few were small, and probably the Reg Nolan Flying is small, but quality-wise, it's really good. Almost, listed quality in terms of, some of the horses that are lining up in that sprint.
Well, there's multiple stakes winners in it. It's headlined by Fancify, who won this race last year before she used it as a platform to go and win a Group 3 race at Flemington during Cup Week. She's dual accepted, but I've had a chat to the stable there, leaning towards running her on her home track at Murray Bridge on Saturday, and then doing the same thing, going to Flemington during Cup Week. I know that Will Clarkin's got Prairie Flower, who's also dual accepted. I'm not sure which way he's going to go with her. I've had a chat to Peter Hardacre, pressed down, running around on his home track. He's another stakes winner. He was, quite good in the Wiley, I thought, last start. So he's another one. Good to see Dubai Focus back at the races. As you say, small field, but it wouldn't be out of place as a listed race on a support program for a big Group 1 day. Really looking forward to it, and I think it can have some bearing on some nice races in Melbourne come a little bit later in October and into November.
Yeah, totally agree with you. It's a good field for that race. And we've got 7 horses lined up in the 2-year-old Marundi. I know it's a race that, means a lot to you. You've put a lot of effort into that race in particular, and you've kind of got horses ranging from, I think, $800 to $200K. So a really large, size of different kind of horses lined up there too.
Well, we just tried to, elevate this race. We've always had the first 2-year-old race of the season at Murray Bridge on Cup Day, and we've just tried to create a bit more fanfare because in this country, our bloodstock market is geared towards breeding and selling and preparing 2-year-olds. We have so much hype and prize money around Blue Diamonds, Golden Slippers, Magic Millions, and we just wanted to have a nice starting point for the young horses here in SA. So the Marundi fits that bill. Great prize money, $65,000 for these young horses, some racing rewards, bonuses on top of that. Basically, if you win the race, you can almost, be guaranteed 8 out of 10 Blue Diamonds to have enough prize money to get into the race. So you can win a Marundi, put them away, bring them back and aim up at something nicer in the autumn. And I think the field, the first year we did it, I think it was a field of 5. Last year we might have had 6 and 7 this year. So small, but some incremental growth and some nice horses. A couple that have really caught the eye at trials in Murray Bridge in recent weeks. Inhabit is the top of that list. She's gone up a pretty short price favourite. understandable why that trial was scintillating at Murray Bridge. Todd Panel sort of jumped, let her run, but she did it under her own steam and under a hold. And I know that Michael Hickmott after that trial was sort of suggesting he's got quite a big opinion of her. So he was sort of mulling, do they run at Murray Bridge? Do they take her to Melbourne for one of those black type races? Ultimately, they've decided to run on their home track. So excited to see what she can do.
Another one I'm excited to see is Vanderos, a colt out of Anders and Varhus for Matty Sayers, because it's actually going to be the first 2-year-old runner that was listed on daretodream.com.au, which is kind of cool. Kind of selfishly hoping for a good result there to kind of boost up the website too. So, yeah, it's a great story.
And he trialled really well too. He was in the other trial at Murray Bridge last week and was just making ground sort of under his own steam back towards the inside. So, if they go too quick, couple of these speedy 2-year-olds, he might be the one just in behind, pouncing late. But he looks to have nice ability, and Matt's already had a bit of joy with Anders as a stallion. So I'm sure that's why he went back to the well with this guy.
And we'll talk about the Cup a little bit later on in the show. So we'll head across to Caulfield, and we've got a few South Australians over there. And the map lines up again in the Group 2 Herbert Power. Have you touched base with Dan and Uppy about the map lately?
I did. I had a chat to Dan a couple of days ago about her and also mating call. As far as the map said is concerned, he wasn't disappointed with that run at Mornington. On face value, she was a little bit plain, but he seems to think that she's, come on significantly since that run, and maybe just with the lengthy break, the fact that she was put through a sale ring and probably had a couple more weeks in the paddock than what she was used to. It's probably just taken her an extra run or two to really reach peak fitness, but he thinks that this run has come on. So he was sort of twisting my arm, or not twisting my arm, but maybe saying I have a little each way play on the map this week because he's expecting to see some sharp improvement from her, and how she performs there is probably going to inform their decision about where they go next. He spoke about the Moonee Valley Gold Cup, the Geelong Gold Cup. Ultimately, she's still in the Melbourne Cup. If her form warrants it and she can get there, they'd love to have another crack. But there's also the 2,800 metre race on Melbourne Cup Day that she won several years ago, which if she's not quite going as well as what they hope, then there is that sort of backup option, maybe a couple of rungs below.
Yeah, no, she's currently $27 on Saturday with Sportsbet. And Mating Call, a horse I've been following quite closely. What's the update there?
That they're very excited heading towards the 1,000 guineas the following week. I know there's a lot of chat, especially off the way she finished last start, that maybe she would head towards a Wakeful and even an Oaks. Dan's sort of thought is that the 1,000 guineas will be her grand final. She has come through that run really well, but she's probably not a filly that they would stretch out to the 1.5 miles this time round. So his thought is that she can have her grand final, hopefully run top 3 in a 1,000 guineas. I know Jamie Mallam's committed to the ride there, so she'll continue the association. And they might put her away and set her for a Group 1 Australasian Oaks at Morphettville in our Autumn Carnival.
No, very nice. She finished off beautifully that last start, and looks like that 1,600 is going to be absolutely perfect next week.
Absolutely, yeah. She's an exciting filly. Dan's always spoken very glowingly about her. We saw that with her win at Balaclava, where she probably wasn't entitled to win, and it's been ambitious placement her last couple of starts, and they've been full of merit without winning.
And onto the Scalacci. A couple of our Group 1 stars, and Cumin and Sir Sway, they're going around, but another good field they've struck. Neance, Tropicus and Giga Kick, along with Benedetta headline, that race. It's going to be another tough one, but, we're never without a chance in those sprints.
Absolutely. And Cumin is a proven Group 1 performer and a proven performer at Caulfield. And Sir Sway, I think he's probably going better than what his form line suggests. Obviously, he's come out of a couple of Group 1 races there at the Valley. So he's another one that's sort of open to improvement at Caulfield. It's a Group 2 in name, but on paper, it's a Group 1. You've got an Everest winner there in Giga Kick. You mentioned Neance. She's a very exciting mare. I think she's a Group 1 winner in waiting. So, it's a hot race. There's nowhere to hide, but that's what you sort of expect at this time of year with the spring at the pointy end. So, look, both those horses can go there and run well, and hopefully with a bit of luck, they can be filling some of the money.
Yeah, and the lucky last of that, Caulfield's the Group 3 Northwood Plume, and I think Caravas is confirmed to go around there for the Jollies, and this is the race that Fancify and also Prairie Flower are accepted into. Another good race, She's Bulletproof, Amina, who ran here in the Goodwood Sangster, definitely, but, another hot race to finish off the card there at Caulfield.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the plan is for Fancify to be scratched from there and stay in South Australia. Not sure about Prairie Flower, and obviously Caravas. We talked about the Marundi earlier. She won the inaugural edition of the Marundi, and she's been a great horse, throughout her 3-year-old and now 4-year-old season for the Jollies and obviously Connection. So she's come back well this campaign. I think that she would be in the mix, but yeah, it is a hot race. So looking forward to that. Hopefully there is a little bit of joy for the South Aussies. Which horse it is and which race it is, I'm not too sure, but nice to have some representation that we can, tune in throughout the afternoon.
Always is. If we can go home with one, that would be a massive win for the South Aussies. Now, speaking of some good news, on the Racing SA channels the other day, we had a video come out that Ivy Lamb is making her return to race riding, which is absolutely crazy considering, what she's been through post-injury.
Mate, it's incredible. I remember that day where she had her fall at Gawler like it was yesterday because I was following on from home. I knew a few of the jockeys and trainers, including my wife, that were trackside there. And I think there were some very real and very grave concerns for Ivy in those first, minutes and hours after the fall. Thankfully, she's made a pretty incredible recovery. So, I think if you'd asked most people sort of a couple of months after the injury where she was, on the road to recovery, they would have said, that's great. But, the prospects of her coming back to race riding are probably still pretty slim. I know she was back at the trials recently, and it looks like obviously there's still a few hoops to jump through to get her ticket to go back race riding. But yeah, it's an incredible story of resilience, of determination, of courage, and yeah, looking forward to seeing the day that Ivy does make it back to the races, and I'm sure it's going to be something that's covered across these platforms and racing.com and the like. But yeah, pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah, courageous, personified. Absolutely amazing effort. Anything else that's catching your eye from a news point of view?
No, there's plenty happening. Obviously, in racing, a lot of it happening over the border. So focus has been there as well as here in South Australia with a huge Saturday for the Gold Cup. We've spoken about those feature races, but yeah, again, the Gold Cup's small in number, but yeah, some quality there, and good to see some Victorian representation there with a couple of interstate raiders.
Time to look at this week's Dare to Dream Horse of the Week, and it's a colt out of the Autumn Sun and Pandemonium. Now, Autumn Glow might be the hottest horse in Australia right now, and she's out of one of Australia's most promising stallions in the Autumn Sun. He's the sire of the 2024 SA Derby winner Coco Sun and the 2024 South Australian Oaks winner Vibrant Sun. He's also going to have Caulfield Guinea's favourite Autumn Boy this weekend as part of his progeny. So he's a sire who's absolutely flying, and you can get involved in this fantastic family. The mare, Pandemonium, ran second in listed Lalia Stakes at Morpheville under the training of the one and only Gai Waterhouse. So you know it's well bred, this horse here. This athletic colt is in the very capable hands of Michael Hickmott at his beautiful property down at Wellington. Now at only 60k, this colt would be a real steal. If you think a horse like this out of the breeding could probably be a fantastic miler, 2,000 metre horse, which is just a fantastic stable horse to have in your stable. So to find out more about this one and plenty more others, head to daretodream.com.au for all your ownership needs. Ahead of this weekend's listed Murray Bridge Cup, it's time to chat to last year's winning trainer, Michael Hickmott, to talk about his chances this Saturday. Thanks for joining us on the Frontrunner podcast, Michael. Big weekend ahead for Murray Bridge Cup Day.
Yeah, fantastic. Always be great to be represented with runners on Murray Bridge Cup Day, and I think the track will be in great order, and hopefully they can get some good weather.
Now, you achieved something amazing last year, trained the trifecta in your hometown cup. Can you kind of believe that 12 months on?
Yeah, look, it was just a day that we focused on and really planned for. It was fantastic. We had a trifecta in the cup and 3 winners for the day. Horses were pretty primed and going into that well. Look, unfortunately this year we had a virus go through the stable through early to mid-August. So I feel these horses are a little bit on the back foot and going in off different preparations. So from that point of view, we've only got 2 runners in the race, so we're definitely not going to trifecta it this year. But we're taking horses there in good order.
Now, we'll touch on those 2 runners. We'll start with Maricourt. Obviously, ran in the Balaclava Cup. Has the Murray Bridge Cup always been, his target to go back-to-back there?
Yeah, 100%. And look, he's unfortunately just had a bit of an awkward preparation. He won well, I think, back in June. It was fantastic to see him win there with a big weight. He went to Mildura and was the run of the race. The Len McDonald was always going to be unsuitable, and unfortunately everything went wrong the other day. And I suppose Craig Newitt coming back to ride the horse indicates that he probably went every bit as good as what he did last year at Balaclava. We'll just see how the track's playing. Obviously, barrier 12 of 12 isn't ideal to look at it, but in saying that, he's a horse that I'd rather draw 12 than 1. So just see how the track's playing. We've got 7 races prior to the Cup before we make up our mind. And look, I'll just leave it completely up to Craig, but he's going there in good order.
Promises kept. Talk us through this one. 60k buy off Inglis and a proven stab. We saw he ran second in the Group 1 SA Derby, and I think he's 3 times Group 3 placed over 1.5 miles too. Is he a chance to win on Saturday, or you got a bigger kind of target in mind for him?
Look, his focus is a nice 1800 metre listed race coming up. I think it's the John Letts Cup, and there's also a 1800 metre listed race at Flemington on Melbourne Cup Day. I would think that he would be more suited to those second up. Where he gets to in the preparation, I'm just going to leave as a bit of an open-ended book. Ballarat Cup might be suitable. Pie in the sky stuff, if he continues to progress forward and go well, I might duck across and catch up with a few of my mates in Perth.
Mm-hmm.
Be wonderful to have a runner over there through the Pinnacles. So,
yep.
Look, you would think Saturday's probably going to be a bit of a tricky task for him first up.
Very, very nice. And Fancify, where will we see that horse on Saturday, here or over the border?
I'll have a good discussion with her owner, Mr. Yao, tonight and discuss the options. Her primary focus is the Hong Kong Jockey Club Plate on Melbourne Cup Day again to 1400 metres. So in saying that, there's pros and cons to both. The race at Caulfield on Saturday looks to be a nice race for her, devoid of a bit of speed. In saying that, I don't particularly want to travel her twice if I don't want to. Mr. Yao's taken the brave decision to not breed with her at this stage for the season. So I'd like to reward him with an extended campaign and possibly even take her to Queensland and try and qualify her through the Magic Millions Series for one of those wildcard races.
And Coach Lay's the other horse there, second up for the stable?
Yeah, look, he's a horse that took a fair bit of a setback through that virus, and we actually had to back right off him. Ran good first up at 63 kilos, completely underdone. Subsequently had another little headache along the way, but he'll be much better off when we get to Gawler in the Cup in 2 weeks.
The 2-year-old filly in Habit was a very impressive trial winner, I suppose, last week. 200 grand buy from Magic Millions up on the Gold Coast there. What are your expectations of her on Sunday?
I think expectations is a hard word to use on these young 2-year-olds. They're like kids going to school for the first time. But look, she's done nothing wrong. We haven't pushed or pulled on her. We've just allowed her to do everything very organically, and she's gone through the process very well. Trust me, the updates I've sent to the owners, I've tried to find every excuse under the sun to give her a spell, because it's not my MO to be racing horses this early in their 2-year-old year. So I haven't been able to find a relevant excuse at this stage. So she'll go to the races on Saturday. Fantastic to have Todd on board. He's a big fan of hers. Got a huge amount of respect for Travis Dowdle's horse in that race. It ran much quicker time than her in the trial. So, look, she might have trialled pretty impressively visually to the eye, but she's still got to do it on the clock yet. She's a nice filly, drawn awkwardly. And once again, the good part is you can leg Todd up and just say, off you go.
Yeah, indeed. And Party Crush is the last runner for the day. Obviously, you see him return over the 1400 metres. I know things didn't go to plan up in Queensland earlier in the year, but what's the spring plans with Party Crusher?
Yeah, we won't mention the war things, are we?
Sorry.
But no, look, he, once again, broken record. He should have been probably further into his preparation than he is at the moment, but just had to hold him up. Ideally, his plan was always to run in the Murray Bridge Cup second up on the minimum. It hasn't eventuated that way. Look, I know he ran second in the Schiller at Oakbank over 1400. He was deep into a preparation at that stage, off jump outs, trials, races. So, look, I wouldn't expect him to be replicating that type of 7 furlong form on Saturday. He'll either go to the Gawler Cup in 13 days after Saturday, or he'll go to a benchmark 70 1800, which would ideally lead him into a benchmark 80 2000 at Flemington on Melbourne Cup Day.
So you can have a fair stable across the border kind of come Melbourne Cup Day. That's the target for you guys?
Yeah, look, I think, it's fantastic for your ownership base to have something to look forward to. And I'm sure there's days there where everyone's got their individual preferences, but not too many people wouldn't be excited about having a runner or runners on Melbourne Cup Day. Same goes with the 2-year-old filly. If she would have win on Saturday and she came through that, she'll go to the Maribyrnong trial at Maribyrnong Plate. So, look, I suppose from that point of view, I'm a racehorse trainer, but we're in the entertainment industry, and people pay us to train their horses to have them at the races on those big days. And there's no bigger stage than Melbourne Cup Day, and we'd love to have as many realistic runners there as we can as possible.
Said it perfectly. Absolute dream come true to have a runner on Melbourne Cup Day at Flemington. Well, it sounds like your stables are hopefully due for a bit of good luck with that virus through now, and hopefully onwards and upwards for the Michael Hickmott stable for the rest of the season.
Thank you, Arlen. I really appreciate it.
On to the race of the day. It is, of course, the listed Murray Bridge Gold Cup over the mile. Let's have a look at some of the stats that matter. Now, no favourite has won this race in the last 10 years, but they have run a placing on 8 occasions. So, whilst not winning, they've run well. Michael Hickmott, he trained the trifecta last year and has had a run in the top 3 for the last 5 years, which is an outstanding achievement. Tony McAvoy himself has won the race 4 times, lastly back in 2020 with winning partner, and 6 of the last 10 winners have carried 54 kilos. The maximum weight over the last 10 years has only been 57 kegs, which was Excites the Lady back in 2015. So probably thinking a horse down in the weights will be the one to follow on Saturday. But let's kick it off with last year's winner, Maricourt JT. Now, Michael, I chatted to him earlier and he said he's been set for this race, had a few hiccups along the way, but we'll probably have to improve off that last run in the Balaclava Cup.
Yeah, I would say, Arlen, that he's maybe going a length below where he was this time last year. Obviously, he continued to improve throughout that preparation. I think he's probably still open to some more improvement. We know that he's proven it at this track. We know that he's proven at the level. He gets in with 54 kilos again, which for a defending champion is going to give him a chance. But yeah, I would agree with Michael's assessment maybe that he's probably just needs to lift slightly or find a length off his recent form to be winning again. But look, Craig Newitt rides him. Craig's had a good association with him. He's won aboard the horse. I give him a sneaky chance. He's definitely in my top 4 considerations.
Speaking of the Balaclava Cup, Savon Ice won that, defeated Pudding, and what a deal that day. Savon Ice went across and ran the Sandown Stakes. It's probably a bit disappointing there. While What a Deal, has won since defeating Pudding. So a lot of that form's tying in with each other. Any of those that you're kind of favouring post Balaclava Cup?
What a Deal's probably the one, Arlen. Like he's come out and won since that Balaclava Cup. I know it was a small field, tactical affair, but he did it nicely. He goes into this. Jacob Opperman again gets in on the minimum weight. I think he brings pretty obvious claims to suggest that he's going to be hard to beat. Savon Ice, talented horse. I think he's better with the sting out of the ground, and he's highly unlikely to get that at Murray Bridge. That there's a $500,000 here and there forecast across the next few days, but we know with Murray Bridge this time of year as we head into summer, we don't get a lot of rain up here. The track will race good, and it may even go from a 4 to a 3 at some stage during the afternoon. That's what happened on this day last year. So I think he's a little bit more dynamic with the sting out. So I'm happy to look around the Balaclava Cup winner. Pudding, look, I think he's had his chance his last couple. So that form reference, I would probably be leaning towards What a Deal. But that's often you can get most of the Balaclava Cup field press onto the Murray Bridge Cup, and we've got quite a few out of there, but there are a few other interesting form lines that we get to test.
Yeah, now one of them is with the Hayes boys, who are absolutely on fire when they're bringing horses to SA, and the Pentragon, I think it's called, is third up and finished 5th in that Sandown Stakes in front of Savon Ice.
The Pendragon, I think.
Pendragon.
I think we'll go with Arlen.
Okay.
But yeah,
I'm making up words.
I love this horse. He's a Group 2 winner in New Zealand. Mike Moroney had him, and he came across for an Australian Guineas. And at the time, I had seen enough in his wins in New Zealand and the way he was trialling up at Flemington to suggest that he might be able to measure up. Now, he's largely been disappointing his career here in Australia, but I think he gets his chance in the Murray Bridge Cup. I know he's proven at the level. Like I said, he's a Group 2 winner as a 3-year-old. He's had a couple of runs now. I did chat to Will Hayes earlier in the week, and he said that the team just identified this race maybe a little bit off Broadway as one that they might be able to send him across and find some form and hope that he can get his mojo back. So I'm excited to see what the Pendragon can do. I've sort of been, once bitten, twice shy by him. I want to see him do it before I sort of charge in it and back him again. But I definitely think he's got the talent and excited to see him trackside on Saturday.
Cavity Bay is also an interesting one for four-time winner Tony McAvoy. She was nominated absolutely everywhere this weekend, and I think they've landed with Murray Bridge. Second up after having a really good 3-year-old campaign where she ran 4th in the Oaks and 5th in the Derby here. Do you reckon she'll need this run, or do you reckon this has been a bit of a target for the McAvoy team?
Oh, I think they always keep some of these features in South Australia in the back of their mind for some of their horses. I would have liked to see a little bit more from her first up, but I do concede that probably left a bit of improvement in the tank for a mare that you mentioned her form as a 3-year-old. She ran really well in an Australasian Oaks, some of those lead-ups, the Claire Lindop and the Auraria. So if she could get back to some of that form, I think she's a definite top 3 chance. Like I said, I would have liked to have maybe seen her finish a length closer first up. But look, she's a quality mare. She brings obvious stakes credentials, and you touched upon the record that Tony's had in this race. He was obviously a powerhouse in South Australia when he, when they had that Anguston base, and just good to see him continuing to support some of these features over here. They obviously won the Marundi last year, with a really nice filly in hiatus, and we're, as a club, Murray Bridge welcoming them with open arms with a nice chance to win the Cup this year.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree there. And so Kingsford, just lastly for me, one of my favourites, and I reckon he's been set for his hometown cup in about a fortnight's time, but can't ignore his second up record, 3 from 6. So I think he's got to go in my numbers.
Oh, he's the big improver. I think he'll enjoy the firm track. He's performed well at Murray Bridge previously, so I'm expecting to see some sharp improvement from him first up. Concede, like you said, I know that there's a massive crew from the Kingsford Hotel, I think, at Gawler that own and race this horse. So they would be having one eye on their hometown cup in a couple of weeks. But I think he's just another stakes winner. He's good enough to win this and then go and win it at Gawler. So it's a good little race. I know there's only 12 runners, but there's plenty of quality there. Promise is kept right at the top for Michael Hickmott as well. He's a Group 1 place horse as a 3-year-old. He's first up. He'll probably need the run. His best is probably going to be over 2,000 metres plus, but excited to see what he can do as well.
All right, Your Excellency. What do you got for me as the Mayor of Murray Bridge? What are your numbers for Saturday?
You've caught me off guard here, so I don't actually have my numbers in front of me, but I am going to tip Sir Kingsford on top. You've touched upon him and having a bit of a soft spot. I think he can win. I've got Maricourt in for second. I know that much because I really think that this horse, maybe I do concede he needs to improve a length or two, but I reckon he's probably going a little bit better than what his run suggests on paper. And I think he can win again. So they're probably the two that I'm keen to play around. What a deal's the other one. Like, he hasn't done much wrong. Good stable, jockey combination. They're flying at the moment. So they would probably be the 3 that I would have at the pointy end of my selections, Arlen.
Beautiful work, mate. Love your work as always, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you. Looking forward to it. And if anyone's sitting there mulling over a trip to Murray Bridge, make sure you get trackside. It's going to be a great day. Plenty to look forward to, and some great racing on the track.
It is an absolute pleasure to welcome back Mitch Lewis from Betsy, SEN Track, basically everywhere. He's tipping up a storm, no doubt about that. How are you, Mitch?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. How are you this week?
All good, all good. We're on to the listed Murray Bridge Cup this weekend, and you've got 3 races for us to have a look at, and I think we'll kick it off in race 4, which is a small field but a really high-quality field for the Reg Nolan flying over 1,200 metres.
Yeah, well, that's it. A few of these come out of listed start last time behind Watch Me Win, don't they? So it's a handy race. Look, in the race, I thought there's going to be plenty of speed on. I had Fancify pressed down, even Dubai Focus going along quick. And I thought on this Murray Bridge track, that might set up Prairie Flower, the 3, to get a really good run. We know the horse gets back. I hit the line really strongly there first up. So we're second up now, 1,200 metres. It's not really had the greatest second up form previously, but I just think this one, how it lines up for her, I'm pretty keen on her chances in this field.
Yeah, very nice. $3.20, and she's always a horse that is knocking on the door for a win. Even if she's not winning, she's always running on strong late.
An honest type, they call those, don't they?
Yeah. They've got lots of names for those kind of horses, I think. But yeah, Fancify, I think Michael Hickmott's definitely pushing to run her here as opposed to over the border because she's a dual acceptor. What are you expecting from Fancify first up?
Yeah, she's an honest type as well, I suppose. She obviously won really nicely through the carnival last year in Melbourne, so you'd suspect that's where she's going to go again. Yeah, I think she's clearly the one to beat in the field. She'll improve second up. Just if she gets pressured along, I don't know if that'll suit as much. So that's probably why I was willing to risk her at that price. But she's obviously the one I'm most worried about, certainly.
Fair enough. We take the 3:24 Pro Flower in the 4th and move on to the 7th, which is 1400 metre benchmark 64. Bad Detectives come up favourite at 480. What do you like in that race?
Yeah, we were with Bad Detectives last time and he just let us down a little bit. There's a horse in here. I think he's in each way play the 7 extra hot. So I've just been waiting for her to get on the track that suits. She was a black booker of mine last start. She's finished within a length of the winner in the last 2 on the Parks, getting out late, flashing home. And I just thought if we could get out of Murray Bridge sometime, it might be the ideal setup. And I think she gets that here. So I'm backing her each way. Barrier 14, not too concerned about. She's going to get back anyway. But she's got the big long straight to be able to get over the top of them. We just need horses like Valancourt and Thermodynamic to put some pressure on Bad Detective, and I think it sets up for her.
No, I like it a lot. She has been finishing off really well. And as you said, I think the Murray Bridge track's just going to suit her to an absolute T. And let's finish it off with the Cup, race 8, which is over the mile. Who do you like in the feature?
Look, take this as what you will. There's a running joke at SEM that every time I'm on Savon Ice, he never wins, and every time I'm off, he does. I think at the price, he looks to bet to me in this race. I was tossing up him and What a Deal. Obviously, they're the two that I think What a Deal, I think, jumped your favourite in the end at Balaclava in their cup. But I just thought he's come up a big price, What a Deal. He'd be an each-way play as well. Savon Ice, sorry. Winner of the Balaclava Cup, went to Sandown, contested a group race. He was 10th, but not too far off from really in much stronger company. So something's going to give eventually. He'll run out of time, but I just thought he's at the minute, he's $7 and $2.30. He looks a pretty big price for a horse that is a listed winner 2 starts back in a similar field. So, yeah, I was happy to play him.
Out of that race that you mentioned at Sandown, the Pendragon comes out of that, beat Savon Ice home. Happy to think that Savon Ice can turn the tables there?
Yeah, I saw that. For me, the Pendragon, I think perhaps, and you've always got to trust the stable, but his best might come around 1,400 metres. I just wondered if this big long straight at 1,600 of Murray Bridge might catch him out a little bit late. So I like the setup for Savon Ice better in this than what I thought he had at Sandown. To be fair, I thought he was a little bit up against it in that race at Sandown. I like the setup here much better.
Very, very nice. So Savon Ice in the Cup at very nice each way odds of 7 and 2.30. And then race 4 was Pro Flower into race 7, extra hot at 6.50 and 2.40. Nice bit of value for the weekend.
I think so, yeah. That's the way I'm sort of spinning this Murray Bridge meeting. I haven't quite done Morphettville Parks Friday night, so I can't give you anything there yet. But looking at the fields, I'd say there'd be value to have there as well.
Love your work, Mitch. Thanks again for jumping on. Appreciate it. And obviously, if we do want to follow your stuff, head to betsy.com.au. It's where you got all your write-ups. And as I said, you're tipping up a storm not only here, but in the state as well.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. So full write-ups there each week, Wednesday and Saturday, and you pick up a few best bets around the place. So, yeah, head up to Betsy.
Beautiful. Love your work, Mitch. Thanks so much. Thanks for watching this episode of the Frontrunner podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure. And a big thanks to our special guests, James Tzaferis, Michael Hickmott, and of course, Mitch Lewis. Now, good news. My co-host, Lincoln Moore, will be back rested and rejuvenated after his trip to Bali. So he's going to be here to find us some winners. But once again, if you have enjoyed the show and want to follow us on our social platforms, give us a follow on X, Facebook, and Instagram. Just search for Dare to Dream. And as always, if you are interested in any ownership opportunities in South Australia, head to daretodream.com.au. Thanks for listening, and we'll chat to you again next week.